when all the locations are shuffled around and the keys are spread out everywhere, but putting the two together actually sort of smooths it out a little bit. And we are going to get started and a heart piece in Link's house.
Not a bad start. Getting a little bit of love to go. And we're seeing both runners take the southern route here.
This is a fairly standard opening. You can fake flipper, go up and check out the potion shop entrance, and then also look at the this fairy fountain you see on the left of Lynn's screen right now, which is normally where people attempt the Houlihan glitch. But you can check one drop down here and then Houlihan as well to get some rupees to start things off.
Yeah, that's one of the interesting things about this game mode too. Oh, it's a hospitalist place, so that's a nice find. Unfortunately, we don't have any bombs. The last is family heirloom in Desert Palace, so we know that's a green pendant. One of the things to keep in mind here is we're going to see some of these opening plays be a little bit different than the standard rando because of the cross-worlds setting. It's going to require us to do a little bit of poking around in locations that we might not otherwise see.
Yeah, and the Houlihan just becomes more common to do just because you never know when you're going to wander across a shop to buy some bombs at the beginning. So you want to make sure you have that cash right away before you really start exploring. And this drop down is the Lumberjack Cave. We're not going to have to worry about that one too much. Just a heart piece there. But Goomba is executing the Houlihan glitch, and Lynn is right behind.
For those who don't know, for those who might be new and not know what the Houlihan glitch is, Houlihan glitch is this room you see right here on Linlinlin's side with all the blue rupees in it. It was a special room that was put into the game as part of a contest from Nintendo Power. They're going to put the winner into the game in a special place, and it turned out it was that room. A young man by the name of Chris Houlihan was the winner, and thus his name is in the room in the vanilla version of the game, and it basically serves as kind of a reset room, I guess you can say, in case you end up somewhere you're not supposed to be and the game gets confused. It just kind of puts you in that room and spits you back out at Link's house, kind of reset everything.
Meanwhile, we have the Vanilla Uncle Passage. Nothing too exciting in it, but our runners are checking out these drop-downs, trying to figure out where they all are. There are 8 of them in the world, so they just sort of get shuffled between each other. So there are some good entrances to check out at the beginning, because the drop-downs, of course, include the well, which has a good number of items in it. So these are good checks to make early on.
Absolutely. One of the things to keep in mind too is that with the drop-down locations, is that they will lead to other drop-down locations. So obviously, one of them will be one of the various ones in the world here, both light and dark world, will be Ganon. So we may see the big pig before we're actually ready to fight him, and we'll just have to keep that information in hand.
Yeah, and the drop-downs are paired with their sort of exits, right? So like you walk in the secret passage, and then the normal Uncle drop-down will lead to the drop-down there, right? So most of our runners will check by not dropping down immediately, because that might accidentally drop you into the middle of the Ganon fight, which you don't want.
You just have to save and quit. Bumper Cave there in the Light World. You guys call it the Light World Hype Cave? It's not really a Hype Cave, but it's... Oh, and the King of Samaria is at Sanctuary, so that's a good find for Linlin.
Yeah, and we also saw both of our runners buy some extra bomb capacity when they found that capacity fairy early. Again, one of those things that you can do when you do that Houlihan glitch. If you have an excuse to spend some cash, you have that cash on hand.
So there we see from Goomba one of the interesting things here. It's the brother's house from Kakariko. We have to bomb the wall. One half attaching to the cave outside the Eastern Palace portal, and the other half is at the fortune teller by Lake Hylia. So here we go. We got a key to the small key to Dark Palace of Darkness, hanging out in the back half of sewer.
And I actually didn't see which drop down that was that Lin went into. Was that Lumberjack? No, couldn't have been.
No,
Lost
it wasn't
Woods?
Lumberjack. I think it was, yeah, Lost Woods, because Lynn was in Lost Woods. So I think that was the Lost Woods drop down.
So now that Lin has bombs, going to go back up and check Sahasrala's closet up here at the potion shop, and Goomba's checking out the vanilla Sahasrala location.
Which is just a shop. Oh! Oh! That's a nice find for Lin. Gets the bow and the first lift upgrade.
Yes, Sahasrala's closet absolutely loaded today, and this is why so many people like checking out that potion shop right away. It's sort of an isolated location. You're never closer to it than at the very beginning of the game, and you just never know when it's going to be stacked with items for you, and that was definitely the case today.
Sahasrala having a Light World exploration kit there. Meanwhile, Goomba going through Super Bunny Cave, which is at Eastern Palace, and Lin has meanwhile found the front half of... Well, actually has found Thieves Town, and is doing the front half now.
Yeah, of course, you can only get the first 4 chests right now, but it's always good to find your dungeons as soon as possible. This one was in the back of the Lost Woods at the Chance game back there in the back.
And Goomba's got the big key for Misery Mire in Super Bunny Cave.
Yeah, a little slow on our keys at the beginning, but some good finds. Ooh, and here's the back of Skull Woods.
I was just about to say, back half of Skull Woods, right in Kakariko Village.
Of course, can't do much here without a sword or the fire rod, but again, always good to know where it is, and we do find the Thieves Town small key.
Get some death warps set up here. Simultaneous death warps from Lin and Goomba. Just to get back to the start. Save a little bit of time. Oh, we might get that check to Lumberjack here in a moment.
Meanwhile, Goomba finding the outlet from Spectacle Rock there, the Spectacle Rock drop down. Not very exciting. Our runners do want to be on the lookout for connectors that might lead them to other places. Even if the cave is uninteresting, if it's got another exit out the back, that could take you somewhere interesting. Meanwhile, Lin finding our first sword there at the Lumberjack hut.
Which is actually now south of Grove Cave. That's the... and there's Hype Cave on Goomba's side. It's a small key. Ice Palace at the entrance to Death Mountain. Big key for Goomba. Swamp Palace. Piece of heart. Small key for Ganon's Tower. It's important to find. And another piece of heart was getting 4th heart.
The small key cave today. But again, these are the sorts of places that our runners are really looking for, trying to track down item-dense locations early on. Lin is going to take that glove and check out another drop-down for us. This one you have to check just by dropping in.
And it's
and this will be the well.
So I think that means Ganon should be at the well drop-down, right? I think that's the last one we haven't seen. Or it's vanilla.
So let's see. What was on Lumberjack? Or what's the actual Lumberjack cave?
It was Magic Bat. Oh yeah, Magic Bat. We haven't seen Magic Bat yet. Flute! Goomba getting on Laser Bridge and finding the flute. Meanwhile, Linlinlin picking up that Moon Pearl in the moved Kakariko well.
For both of our runners here, that flute is very important in cross keys because it can get you to a lot of different locations very quickly. Goomba setting up some iframes here with the fall into the pit to check this last chest and finding the red meringue.
Meanwhile, Lin has found the swamp drain hiding out in the fortune teller shop just outside the Kakariko.
Yeah, and a nice thing to find early. Because once you drain that swamp, then it stays there permanently in entrance randomizer.
Absolutely, because otherwise it would be just about impossible to do it. So, one of the many small changes for safety in QOL that we have made, or our devs have made, I should say. And this is Graveyard Ledge in the front of. Oh, and the fire rod here, nicely found. But that's in the front of tavern.
Right, so now that Back of Skull Woods is in logic if our runners can sort of put the pieces together. Lin has a sword, Goomba has the fire rod, but that does make Mothula killable if our runners want to do that at this point.
That it does.
Find Ganon's tower at the Vanilla Smith's Hut. This is an extremely good find in Cross Keys because the items that you can find in here are pretty ridiculous. For example, there's a sword with the crystals goal. Clearing Ganon's tower is not necessarily required, but you also don't need the crystals to get in it, which means the logic restrictions on what items it can have are completely gone.
Absolutely. The other thing here too is that the castle tower is very much in the same boat here, because not only because of the cross worlds, but because it's key sanity. That means those keys that would normally be the two guaranteed ones in the tower climb are not necessarily in the tower section itself. So we could see some items hanging out there, wherever that is.
Meanwhile, I just saw Lynn go into the well there, and that was the fairy fountain by Houlihan. So right after I said that Ganon's tower climb is not necessarily required, I think we have a vanilla Ganon fight, which means we will have to fight Aga 2 to open up that pyramid and be able to drop down and fight Ganon.
Indeed, we did get a vanilla back of the pyramid. There's Spectacle Rock inside of it, just the map up there.
That front of Spectacle Rock is normally something you would want to check out since you can drop down there and get another exit, use it as a connector, but in this case we know where that lets out, just elsewhere in Kakariko, so not exciting. But Goomba is finding the laser eye entrance of Turtle Rock also, so we'll see what he can get done in here. Probably just going to check out the one chest with the Poke Key.
Absolutely. Not a bad decision. Worth investigating a little bit. And meanwhile, Lynn does have the... Actually, he's going to do Tile Room. Very interesting. We don't normally get to see this unless the key or needed item is in here. So, Lynn having two keys for GT will let them go ahead and do the right side if they want to do it. And, oh, no. They got wall mastered.
Yeah, you never know what's going to be in Tile Room. I was watching a VOD last night of one of the races from earlier this week where Megawatt put off checking Tile Room, cleared out everything else from the basement of Ganon's tower except Tile Room, and then came back to it later and found the Thieves' Town Big Key there. So, Cross Keys really rewards you being thorough just because things are spread out absolutely all over the place.
Absolutely cool, Papa Bell. And meanwhile, Goomba did make it to the Chain Chomp Brew Room, found that there was nothing in there, and got to use the Chain Chomps for good for once to do a Death Warp.
National Anthem on Goomba's side. going to make good use of that flute immediately to get back to Sahasrara's closet and find the bow and glove that are lurking back here.
Pretty good race so far. Looking at the items that we have, the big difference between the two runners is Goomba's got that flute and the fire rod, which Linlinlin should get very soon. In fact, Linlinlin should have the flute here in just a moment. But yeah, that second sword upgrade and the Kina Samari are kind of like the big things that Linlinlin has. And actually, the Moon Pearl. We haven't seen Goomba go do the Kakariko Well drop yet.
Lynn having some similar issues with the laser bridge here. There's a reason why this is not in logic right now. That'll be an interesting thing to keep track of. This will not be in logic until our runners can find Mirror Shield or some sort of invincibility item, but with the flute behind it, it's sort of hard to keep track of what's locking the flute in entrance rando, since there are so many ways to get everywhere. Lynn is going to take the red cane and progress backwards through Turtle Rock here a little bit. We'll check out the Crystal Roller Room, which, of course, we could not get from the front direction without the Turtle Rock Big Key. So we'll see if he finds anything good there. Just a heart piece, and we'll also take a Death Warp back out.
Indeed. Really nice though that we did get to see one of my favorite things in the game, the dark roller coaster basement for the Turtle Rock, aka Space Mountain. Always nice to see that show up. But yeah, Goomba now doing the front half of Thieves Town.
And activating that bow very conveniently, since Laser Bridge led out to the bombable hut in Kakariko Village. Did I say activate bow? I meant flute, of course. It's my day off, I just woke up.
It's okay. Happens to the best of us. But Linlinlin getting that fire rod now.
So our Kakariko area has been pretty well cleared out at this point. Let's see, we have seen the eastern area as well. I'm not sure we've seen all of South Shore. And we do have Skull Woods sort of hanging out that our runners could go back to and finish off Mothula right now if they wanted to, now that we have that fire rod on both sides.
Goomba getting that second sword upgrade. So we're kind of seeing now the... Oh, I was going to say we're kind of seeing things catch up item-wise. Both of our runners are starting to check those locations that the other one's been to.
Yeah, that was an interesting choice. Lynn found Eastern Palace at the library and decided not to go through it, despite having the bow. Maybe is waiting for the lamp to get that in logic.
Could be. Though with the fire rod, would be possible to do the one troublesome dark room.
Yeah, the dark room in the back is much easier with that fire rod to light the torches. Meanwhile, the dam is leading to the potion shop. In case we ever find the mushroom, we know where to go pick up our item.
Hey, and we were talking about Castle Tower being in another place, and here it is. Hanging out in the rock just west of the swamp.
Yeah, we've got one key or one chest we can get to right now with no keys. Just bombs for Lin, and Goomba is dipping into Ice Palace and see what we can find here. Again, a ways from full clearing that, and with no keys, there are going to be definitely some items we left behind, and it looks like Goomba's just going to take that first item and then death warp back out.
Yeah, I was just kind of curious too. Oh, there's a smith hanging out not too far from Castle Tower. I was kind of curious just how far Goomba was going to go into Ice Palace. You could go a little bit of the way in, but still would have needed a key at some point, and I don't know how far in would have been worth it.
Lin finding one of these connector caves. It's usually pretty useless in normal randomizer or vanilla mode, but it does connect out to something, and we will find out what here in just a second.
Absolutely.
As Goomba finding the well, which will have the moon pearl in it. There it is.
And it's going to go to the Dark World. Silver arrows are up on the bumper cave. We know where the bumper cave entrance is. We don't know where that bumper cave exit is.
Yeah, and that Dark World bumper entrance is also an interesting one, because if you find the way out of there in the Dark World, then you can mirror back, and you've also found a Light World entrance. There's lots of weird routing in Cross Keys that makes that interesting, but certainly knowing right where the silver arrows are is good, but if you have no idea how to get there, not exactly information you can act on.
Absolutely. It's one of those things, too, where if you run a lot of regular rando, you probably are like, oh, I know where Bumper Cave is. I just need to go back there and wait a minute. It's all changed up. Shoot.
Lin is going to take advantage of this Dark World access. Going to check out some of Skull Woods using the Red Cane in the Gibdo room. Skull Woods entrances and drop-downs, of course, are shuffled within themselves in this mode, just because it's so intricate, kind of going back and forth between those, that they don't get shuffled up too much, at least for the front of Skull Woods. And
the back half is fine because it's essentially a shovel. It's essentially the same as any sort of regular dungeon, but there's a ton of intricacies with the drop downs and whatnot here that make this way too complex. Could be moving stuff around. You'd have entrances to that dungeon all over the place, and it's just easier, I think, from a playability perspective, to just have the one. These two just kind of shuffle back and forth with each other.
Yeah, Goomba is following this same connector, so we'll let out on the north side of Dark World, right where Lin is, and we see Lin is going to take advantage of checking out the vanilla entrance to the back of Skull Woods, which just appears to be a fairy fountain, I believe that is.
I think that's the fairy fountain that's over by Eastern Palace, or Dark World, one on that side of Hyrule. Because I remember it's got that very narrow path before it opens up to the back there.
So our runners did a lot of divergent routing during the first part of the race. The sync is pretty close at this point. They're in the same area of the world with the same items, only off by, I think, that one Desert Palace key that Goomba has that Lin does not. So a very tight race so far, and we'll see how this shakes out as our runners start checking all of these Dark World entrances.
And Goomba showing off one of the locations that gets forgotten about very frequently. This house down here in the Dark World is a location entrance randomizer. It can be just like anything else, and quite frequently gets forgotten about because it's not a place we go at all during regular randomizer, or even the vanilla game. We don't really go down there at all.
Yeah, Lynn choosing to save and quit out of Skull Woods there, opting instead to flute up to Death Mountain and see what we can find in the entrances up here, as opposed to exploring the rest of Skull Woods and Village of Outcasts. Oh, and finding a Desert Palace entrance at the old man's house.
Hey, Lynn has found castle entrance.
Yeah, it's a high-value spot. You've got all of the chests in Escape, which are a little annoying to get to, but you also pick up 2 more entrances out of this from the upper left and upper right exits from the castle. Lynn attempting the Dark Cross chest check in the dark. Again, much easier with Fire Rod to light those torches. Just 3 bombs for the trouble.
So the one thing about entrance randomizer, it makes it a little difficult, especially cross key like this, is normally you kind of have an idea based on your items, okay, where you need to go and blah blah blah. But with both the Crossworlds and Key Sanity elements in play here, you're kind of just trying to check everywhere until you get an idea of, you know, where you need to go in the first place. That's one of the things that really kind of throws a monkey wrench in the plans.
And the combination, you just have layers and layers of things you have to worry about before you can actually start completing things. You need the keys, you need the items, and you also need to know where the stinking place is to actually run through the dungeon or whatever it is that you want to do. So, Lynn getting a couple more chests down here through the front of Escape, finding a Misery Mire small key, not particularly exciting.
No,
and
but
back,
useful. It's
back
always
into GT.
useful. Yep. And Goomba, I think maybe going to the right side and now thinking, do right side clear. Why not?
Yeah, item-rich location and easy to get to in this particular seed. So heading back down here to get the compass room and this one item in the tile room is a lot of checks for not too much time.
Can also go ahead and maybe check a few other things. Actually, no, wait. We don't have the hook shots or the boots to get across the gap, so probably just a right side check here. Gotta be careful. Only on green mail with the tiles and the anti-fairy and the wall master. It's very tricky. That's the last tile right here. Gonna get one more wall master, 50 rupees to start. But we do have this whole right side to check out. Meanwhile, Linlinlin up on Death Mountain. Let me check out some of these locations.
Yeah, opted against checking those other exits out of Hyrule Castle. Finds a dark room on Death Mountain. I think this is the old man cave from the looks of things.
Yep.
So he will navigate through here.
Yeah, definitely the old man cave. I recognize the pattern that sword is moving in. When it moves kind of diagonal. There's the boots, in fact, right there. So that's a nice find for Goomba. And a heart as well. That's not too bad. And a key to Palace of Darkness.
And was there a small key on the torch here in GT? Am I remembering that right?
I don't know.
Whatever's there, can go pick it up if he wants to. Lin has found his way to Dark Death Mountain now.
Indeed, chat being kind enough, Captain MD telling us that yes, there was a small key there, so Goomba can't pick that up.
And with those boots now in hand, Goomba thinks it's worth it to go all the way through to Ice Armos. Can just bonk across the gaps up here and come through pretty quickly. So he's going to finally put our bow to good use.
First boss fight. That's not even the original boss. It's the second fight. Yep, there's Bob. Hello, Bob. Let Bob out and gets the Quake Medallion for his troubles. Nicely done, getting the 2 arrows into that blast of the Armos first, and then firing off the third one before he can turn red. Well executed. Nothing in the back half, unfortunately. There's Sick Kid up on Death Mountain.
Absolutely textbook Armos fight from Goomba there on the ice. It's very nicely done. And so he is going to walk up past the torch right now. And yes, there was a small key there. I think this is the last thing he can get in GT without the hammer. Small key to Hyrule Castle. Well, you gotta check it.
I was gonna say, did you know that there's a big chest in Ganon's Tower at Cool Pop Bell? Of course, the answer is always yes, there's always one in there, but we don't get to see that very often.
Yes, I knew there was a big chest there because I'm a scrub at this game and still have to pick up red mail when I play, so...
So, Upper in chat is asking, get Key Sanity, what's Cross Key? Well, it's Key Sanity plus Cross Worlds Entrance Randomizer. So, we have the normal Key Sanity, and we have Entrance Randomizer, which Cross Worlds means that both the Light and Dark World dungeons are kind of mixed together. But they're mixed also across worlds, instead of just being all the Light World stuff shuffled within the Light World, and all the Dark World stuff shuffled within the Dark World. So you can end up going across, you can end up going between Light and Dark World without even having to go through a teleporter. In fact, that's what Linlinlin did a little bit earlier.
A nice thing up is checking out the Ice Rod area. Ooh, and the stairs down are Blind's hut. So we also found Spike Cave.
Yeah, that's going to be 5 items, and Lin's also in there, so we've got a little bit of convergence, I should say, at this point. Both runners at the same spot. It's a good time here, 34 minutes in, to essentially recap that we've not completed any dungeons. We found some dungeon locations. The one big difference between our 2 runners, if you take a look at their items, is Goomba completed the right side of GT and found the boots there, while Linlin went for it and unfortunately died in the tile room. I know, didn't die, got wall mastered, and just decided to back out and try again later.
I believe when Lin was there before, he did not have the fire rods. There was a lot less value in going back to GT, but
that too,
we will see when he gets back there.
That too. That's a good point. I completely forgot about it. Couldn't even do the torches on the right side. But yeah, I think we've determined that Ganon is indeed vanilla at the Pyramid of Power because of the fact that it's the only drop location we haven't checked yet.
Well, this is a lot better for Goomba than when Lin found it a while ago. With the boots, we can get this small key, which is Skullwoods. All right, not exciting, but also can check out the other chest over here on the right, and Goomba has the small key, so can check out the two on the far right side as well, in addition to the couple of exits from here if Goomba wants to see where these connect to. And it looks like Lin is going to dip back into Skull Woods right now for the Mothula fight.
I would say, yeah, go for it. You've got the fire rod. You got the full magic refill there as well.
Yeah, that sword means you have plenty of firepower to deal with Moth.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. 300 rupees and a piece of heart on the right side there, so nothing of super importance. But yeah, I was going to say, with the level 3 sword and the fire rod, you're in pretty good shape to take on Mothula, even at 7 hearts with green mail. This will be a tough fight, but it's much more approachable than it was just a little bit ago.
One of our exits from Desert Palace there was, I think, the laser bridge safety exit on Dark Death Mountain. Not useful right now, but if we find the mirror, that could give us access to Light World, East Death Mountain.
And Mimic, not Mimic Cave, but yeah, Light World, East Death Mountain would be an option. Getting a key off of another Misery Mire key, man. We've got so many Misery Mire keys now. Just keep finding them. You don't really need them.
Meanwhile, Goomba showing off some nice tech with the bomb jump fake flipper there to get across to the east side of Dark World. Very nicely done.
So this should be a check of catfish. I like this play. I like this play right now. Normally this is very out of the way, and it's always good to route this in. Now, unfortunately, we don't have the mirror, so we can't route it into, say, Zora and Waterfall cave check, but still a good check to make nonetheless. Get that square taken care of, and it's just a piece of heart.
And we can transition this right into checking out the pod area, Pyramid Ledge, a couple of entrances over there around Palace of Darkness, which are always nice to check off, even if this is, again, a sequence break. But in Crossworlds, what is and isn't a sequence break is sort of hard to keep track of, because maybe there's a different way to get over here that our runners just haven't quite found yet, and so this is totally in logic. You just never quite know.
Always, of course, good question to check these things as you can.
Proving me wrong, not going to pod is instead going to check out the Dark World Ice Rod Cave area, which has 3 more entrances to see. Ooh, here's Tower of Hera for us.
We found the compass of Swamp Palace. No, unfortunately, we don't have the big key, so we're gonna have to jump back out here. And Lin's gonna go get those boots now. Meanwhile, Goomba found C-shaped house, which is only 10 arrows.
I was going to say, Goomba also finding the top of Paradox Cave, and of course wanted to put that off because there are a couple of entrances to track down in Paradox, so saving this for last out of the Dark World Ice Rod Cave type area. But now does have access to these chests in here, 7 chests, so this is a very high value location, plus whatever we can find out of the exits from this cave. There are the flippers. That's interesting. So we were clearly meant to get into Paradox Cave sort of the back way somehow from one of these exits, since there is no way to get to this part of the Dark World in logic without flippers.
And unfortunately, the top half of Paradox Cave with the 5 chests there, not really a whole lot. I think the best thing out of that bunch is probably the heart container. In Paradox Cave, in a truly paradoxical situation, spits you out on top of Dark World Death.
Yeah, Goomba definitely putting in work here, finding some good locations here, and Hype Cave is a nice connector through to Dark World Death Mountain. That's good to know about. Yeah, that would be our way to it. You bomb into Hype Cave, connect through to the exit of Hookshot Cave, and then walk in the top of Super Bunny Cave to get into Paradox Cave. That all makes perfect sense.
Purely logical.
There is a small key to Turtle Rock, and more importantly, the hammer. So now we have actual Dark World access that we can get to. Goomba taking advantage of this opportunity of being in Dark World to make a lot of these checks on the south side of the Village of Outcasts. But it will be a whole lot easier to get back there now with that hammer. The Hype Cave portal is open, the Flute 5 portal is open, so Goomba's making a lot of good progress at this point in the race.
And while Linlinlin finishing off this side of GT.
Seems to be Goomba's first way into Hyrule Castle, into the front of Escape, so is going to go ahead and check out these chests. Lynn has already been down here and found not much of anything, maybe a key or two, but I think not very exciting ones. But Lynn went full right side to Ice Armos, and I think is going to wrap up this GT dip with the tile room right now. So overall, Goomba has now hit the point where things are sort of wide open. With the hammer and glove with traditional Dark World access, you can sort of get wherever you want to in the overworld. So now it's going to be a question of sort of how efficiently can he route all of these checks that he needs to make. So we've seen him sort of prioritize checking all of the entrances first. So like he hasn't checked the item at Stumpy or gone over to Race Game and that sort of thing. He seems to be looking more for the information of where the connectors are before worrying too much about tracking down every single item location. So information at a premium in Cross Keys, as Goomba does Death Warp out from the front of Escape. And we'll see that he could have gotten into Hyrule Castle from Death Mountain pretty much anytime he wanted after activating that flute.
Absolutely. And it's one of those things where you just mentioned it, Cool Papa Bill. The information's at a priority here, and it's key. And no pun intended, but it's one of those things. If you knew where you had to go, you could probably run this whole thing in like what 50 minutes, maybe an hour or so. But a big part of what makes this so difficult is you don't know where you have to go to pick up the items that you need. So just a matter of kind of testing things out to see if you can get there and if it's somewhere where you can go.
Our runners are trading places again a little bit. Goomba is doing this old man check and a lot of these Death Mountain checks that Lin has already done. Meanwhile, Lin is following in Goomba's previous footsteps through Desert Palace. And we'll see if he does the same sequence breaking or finds his way to Dark Death Mountain in the same way as Goomba to open up that chain of connectors that Goomba found. So Lin did not check the main desert entrance, I don't think. Which I forget where exactly that led to. Meanwhile, finding the bad side of the Ice Rod Cave in these bonk rocks behind Link's house.
I think my favorite thing about this game mode is just uncovering where these locations are and just seeing where things have been placed this time, because it's just such a treat to see these things. And like, you're now expecting some of these locations to have like dungeons or dungeons to be like, oh, it's a shop now.
Yeah, even in Randomizer, you sometimes will get seeds that feel a whole lot the same, right? Like you clear out Kakariko and you get Dark World access and you go to Pod, and then, it sort of follows the same thing. With Entrance Randomizer, it just feels totally different every time you play.
Absolutely. It is kind of an acquired taste, I guess you could say, though, because it requires a lot more thinking and a lot more mental note taking to remember where things are, and to kind of know, especially with the key sanity element added to it, to know that even if you have access to a dungeon, you may not be able to go in very far, and it may not, even going in as far as you can, may not net you anything that leads you to where you really need to go.
Yeah, so making quick work of the moth over there on the right-hand side, picking up his first crystal. So we'll see where he goes next. Yeah, I agree with chat. I think there's a lot of items that Goomba could be looking for right now, and is actually going to head back into GT and do what we can on the left-hand side. Not fully in logic without hookshot. So he will probably bomb jump to Dark Magician's room, I would guess, and a couple other places. Can clear out the rest of the basement except for the big chest at this point.
That would be 100% correct. We're going to see that bomb jump set up here. Nicely done. And a bonk across. Castle Tower small key. There's the lamp.
The lamp is behind hookshot, logically. Always interesting.
And a bonk across, and a bonk across, and another bonk across, and yet another bonk across. Nicely executed by Goomba, getting all those bonks just right. All for Map to Eastern Palace so far.
Yes, and the bonks are in logic. So that test was in logic, but I think that's the last one that is in logic on the left side at this point. But logic rarely stops our runners.
Yeah. Generally, once you know how to do enough of these various glitches and tricks and whatnot, you can, and skills and strats, you can pretty much push logic out the window to some extent. Not entirely, but you don't have to necessarily tie yourself to certain items. I think Goomba's going to be doing the last little bit here, which is clearing out Rando Room. It's the last of the items on this side because we've already seen, obviously, Quake Medallion being in Bob's chest. There's a potion bottle. Hey, there's a little bit of help. Blue tunic. And a small key to Ice Palace.
And our first bottle, our first armor upgrade, and the lamp all hookshot locked in Ganon's tower. That makes me wonder if the hookshot is more easily accessible than our runners have noticed so far, or if the game just wanted us to go a long time without any of those items.
You know, I just don't know. The game logic does what it wants to do within the rules that are set by the devs, so could be either option.
So Lin is also setting up this bomb jump sequence break to get across the river here, so he is definitely following in Goomba's footsteps right now. Get this Hinox out of the way first. On Lin's side as well, so our runner's clearly very practiced at that particular piece of tech, even though it's relatively new.
I was gonna say I haven't seen it before, and you know, there's not a whole lot of use for it all the time either. It's not like you're gonna be making that specific jump outside of this game mode. Maybe maybe entrance randomizer. And yeah, interestingly enough, Goomba deciding not to go into Eastern Palace there yet. Okay, maybe now doing it, just wanted to check the library real quick. Yep, going to go in now and complete this.
Yeah, just clearing out that library first. We'll see what items we get. Again, no big key for Eastern Palace, so we will be leaving behind whatever Armos has, unfortunately. I believe, chat talking about the usefulness of that fake flipper over there, I think there's also a way to bomb dupe across that gap somehow that I do not fully understand. So if you have one of those awful hammer and pyramid fairy seeds, you do not have to defeat Aga just to get access to the pyramid fairy.
Yeah, those are all good points, actually. I don't normally run across that bomb jump, so it's not something that I'm familiar with, but good to know, and thank you so much for chat definitely helping out here with dropping some knowledge on us. So yeah, if you're Goomba, I think this is the play to make. And then I wonder, is it time to go back into Ice Palace? Is that something that you're thinking about with Fire Rod, Hammer, Cane of Samaria, is this now the play you want to make to go complete that one?
Definitely an option. Again, since it's so hard to find things that you can actually finish in cross keys, that when there is something you can do, it sort of just screams to you that maybe this is the right time to do it. Meanwhile, Lin is following this same sequence break that Goomba did a while ago, which is definitely going to be good. We'll find Paradox Cave and all of the treasures that are in there, which is definitely nice. We'll make these same checks in Tower of Hera first, which did not have anything interesting, but similarly in Goomba, on Goomba's side, nothing too exciting in Eastern Palace, so yeah, I wonder if that Ice Palace play is next.
It could be just maybe a wait to get the big key as well. That could be a possibility. Just waiting to get the key, and therefore not really pushing too hard, because you don't want to have to triple dip that dungeon if you don't want to either. If there's a necessary item hanging out in, say, the big chest, you don't want to have to go back in again and climb all the way back down to do that. We're getting to see some Dark Village. This is a good play. What's hanging out in Thieves Town? Let's see here. First dip into it, and it's going to be it's going to be the middle portion of Turtle Rock, which just has that big. I think just the big chest is the only one we haven't seen from either runner right now, and we don't have the key for that, so we won't see that.
Entrance to have, since that's the only way to get to the big chest.
Hey, bombable chicken hut.
Here.
It's got some bombs in it. How convenient. One bomb for 3.
Lin also getting the good news that those flippers that he just found are in logic, since you could have gone through that portal that got us to the North Dark World outside of the Bumper Ledge entrance, run all the way down to Hype Cave, and then backdoored your way into Paradox. There's our Ether on Turtle Rock, more information for Lin. And he is going to go ahead and check out some of these East Dark Death Mountain entrances. And there is Misery Mire.
Yep. Meanwhile, Goomba's found a connector cave that spits you back out on the right side of Desert Palace. It's in the shooting game in the Dark World.
So yeah, Lin can finish this. He does not have the lamp, but let's see. This is not currently in logic as far as we know, because the lamp is hookshot locked. So, but again, that the dark rooms in the basement of Mire probably will not stop our runners at this point in the league.
Ooh, sword upgrade, a digging game from Goomba. Yes, definitely a good point. This is the first completable dungeon for our runners. Lin finding a small key to Skull Woods. Not quite as useful now, because I think we've pretty much cleared it out at this point, except for the big key chest. That's the only key we really want to find there. Still, but Wow, Lynn getting the big key, and it's a big key for Eastern Palace, so that will be nice. That may be a dip we see Lynn do after completing Misery Myers to go over and do Eastern Palace.
Yeah, so I think it was Lynn who made the earlier decision to just completely skip over Eastern Palace, waiting to find that big key. So that's paying off. We'll only have to single dip that one. Yeah, as happens so often in Key Sanity Seeds, that Skullwood's big key just turned into a fetch quest for us. And we're going to get some more sync as Goomba is finding this Misery Mire entrance as well.
And indeed, Goomba is in. Mystery Mire going to be doing dungeon as well, so we got both runners in the same dungeon at the same time.
But yeah, second Castle Tower small key has been found, which gives us a very long fetch quest if we want to do... Oh, not quite. I was going to say the...
Ooh. Sorry to interrupt there, Cool Papa Bell. We just found the mirror and the big chest in Misery Mire.
Absolutely.
And the big key for GT Big Key is there too.
That's going to annoy Goomba a little bit when he finds it, knowing that he has orphaned the GT Big Chest. Oh,
and
geez,
Turtle
Misery
Rock.
Mire of big keys.
Oh my gosh. What is this Misery Mire?
Okay, the second Castle Tower key opens up the very long do all of Aga 1 just to open up Magic Bat fetch quest, which our runners are probably hoping they will not have to do.
Oh, Lynn, unfortunately taking death. And I don't think that was a death warp. Oh, but gonna back out, I guess, for now.
I'm going to take that mirror and check out all of these entrances in Light World East Death Mountain. There are a lot of things to check out in this area. So, again, prioritizing information over finishing dungeons or looking for items necessarily. Especially since we don't know if Mire is a pendant or a crystal. Meanwhile, finding the Mire shed here with the Swamp small key, that's always a big find.
And Goomba picking up that magic mirror. We'll be getting the 2 big keys that we saw Lynn pick up just a little bit ago. And there's Hookshot Cave. Let's probably see Lynn go ahead and bonk over to this first chest. And it's only 10 arrows, unfortunately. But actually, yeah, maybe gonna go to the back. No, just pick up the heart.
Yeah, I think Lynn will probably go back to Misery Mire right now. Was more interested in checking out these entrances first before anything else happened. After he took that death, figured he might as well see what was around in here, but is going to head back into Mire at this point. Nope. Of course. Oh, he's going to mirror at this location to check out the last entrance. I see.
Clever play. And it's just a fortune teller, unfortunately.
Lynn, did you not want to go back into that portal? I guess not.
No, I guess not. Getting Quake medallion out for some reason here.
Yeah, I think Lynn forgot where exactly the mire entrance was, and unfortunately, losing that portal is not going to be able to dip right back into mire at this point.
Oh, just a small mistake, but kind of a pain in the butt one. Gonna probably have to go back around to get to there. So we'll take a bit of time.
Yeah, with the mirror and the hammer can get across the top of Death Mountain. I think he's opting for a back entrance via some connector from the looks of things. Yeah, actually, or is just going to go finish Eastern Palace right now. There's a lot more items to check in there that he hasn't seen, rather than just the one left on our friend Vitreous, who Goomba is fighting right now. And I guess Lynn will decide to come back later if it turns out that Mire is necessary.
Well, we're about to find out. Goomba's about to find out, and we are as well. It's a heart container, and it's a pendant dungeon. It's red pendant.
So yeah, Lynn's small death and subsequent issues there actually might end up saving him time if he never goes back to Dip Misery Mire. We get a map check from Goomba, and we see crystals all across those dungeons on the eastern side of Dark World. From Turtle Rock down to Swamp are all crystals for us.
Yes, indeed. So that does solve part of it. And Eastern Palace as well is going to be one of the red crystals, the 5 crystal. So Lynn will be picking up the crystal here.
And the Eastern Palace Big Key finding us first off a green rupee there in the Eastern Big Chest. But more importantly, opens up the door to Armos and the red crystal, which Lynn will do. We'll see if Goomba shows us what's at the back of Hookshot Cave. Again, I think Goomba intended to do this, but sort of got away from it with the portal issues. So yeah, Goomba is going to show us the back of Hookshot.
And this leads to... Ah, that's how we get the Mimic Cave.
And very nice to have Mirror. Mirror is such a huge item in Cross Keys just because it opens up so many extra entrances that you can check out, like we're seeing here. We'll be able to check out Spiral Cave and the Vanilla Mimic Cave entrances. So you just love having that, so as soon as you find someplace good to use it, you don't have to come back to it later. I'm gonna need Amazing Ampharos to leave the chat now after that joke. Said, in case anyone's watching the VOD later, that bar is a real hole in the wall.
Oh,
Hey-ya!
but Mimic Cave does actually lead somewhere. It leads to the front half of Turtle Rock.
French vanilla, I guess?
I guess so. But what really is left here for Goomba to check, I believe, is just these 2 chests on the right here. I think these are the last 2, and the big key chest, but we would go through a separate door for that. No hook shots, are going to take the long way around. And just a big 20 on the Armorless Knights, but the crystal. One of the red crystals, so nice find. Nice Palace Key and big 20. And Goomba's just going to mirror out. Yep.
Now it looks like Lynn is going to head back across the top of Death Mountain and go back into Misery Mire, which, as we know, is just going to net him that red pendant. Not super exciting, but we are also going to get, I guess, the Vanilla Tower of Hera entrance. See where that takes us.
King's Tomb. And it's Magic Cape. That's potentially a nice find. Would help out with checking Spike Cave, and it's just not a bad utility item to have. Goomba, meanwhile, has made it to Agina's Cave, only finding 10 arrows there.
Yeah, so that tells us now finally anything we found on Laser Bridge about 45 minutes ago is in logic. I don't even remember what that was at this point. The flute? I think the flute.
I think so.
Showing us the Zora area now. We'll see what the Confish has for us today. Just Cane of Brian on the ledge is a nice pickup, but less important now later in the game. And 20 rupees back from Zora. Goomba will take the time to pick up the Cane of Brian. Those invincibility strats are very helpful for a few of the bosses we have left.
I was gonna say, with Goomba going back in the Desert Palace here, I'm thinking has to be going back to the front half. He's already cleared out the rest of this part of the dungeon. So yeah, just nicely done. Trying to make a quick path over here, probably to Graveyard Ledge. Yep.
I also don't think we've seen the King's Tomb entrance either.
Oh, and it's back half to Desert Palace.
Find again. Can't quite finish it yet without that big key. You know, details, but always good to know where those are. That's the green pendant, so there's really two items lurking back there. One on Landmos, and then whatever Sahasrara has for us.
Linlinlin, meanwhile, going to check the hobo. Haven't seen the hobo yet. And it's going to be the Book of Medora. We have literacy.
Our tablets and also the Desert Palace main entrance to check out. Since without the mitts and without any other mire access, we haven't been able to mirror to that entrance just yet. Also heading over towards Pyramid Ledge to see what items we have. or I should say.
Now Goomba's going to check. It's the bug net. It's a big key for Desert Palace is on the Pyramid Ledge. So that's where Goomba needs to go before going back to Graveyard Ledge. Meanwhile, getting the bug net out of the big chest, and I think probably just doesn't have the ice rod. Oh, hasn't checked this chest here in the Crystal Roller Room, and it's just a piece of heart. So, yeah, not a whole lot of super value hanging out there in that second chunk of Turtle Rock. And Lynn, meanwhile, we'll be checking some of these upstairs locations in the castle, finding Swamp Palace on the right side.
And immediately heads toward it. Having that swamp small and big key, we'll be able to clear out everything except what is hookshot locked.
There's
Finds
the
the
ice
big
key.
Yeah,
Yep,
to
for Big
ice.
Palace.
High value location here. It's amazing how much more everyone loves Swamp Palace in Cross Keys than in any other mode. Just because you're always desperately looking for some place with items in it.
And gonna drop out, I think, after that. Just saying, I got my Ice Palace big key. That's really what I want. I want to go check this left side first before I dive too far into this Palace of Darkness.
Odd, oh my goodness. So the ledge of Hyrule Castle is stacked. Lynn's problem is that he has no hammer. Has not found the hammer yet, so would not be able to go any further in Swamp Palace.
Right, good point. Meanwhile, Goomba is now going to go ahead and complete the rest of Eastern Palace here and pick up this crystal.
Is lurking behind the vanilla big bomb shop entrance, which you can only get to by either coming down from a weird way through the Dark World, through a entrance that leads you out into the north side of Dark World and running all the way down through Village of Outcast, past Stumpy and everything, or doing a weird set of connectors that lead you through Dark Death Mountain and then bring you out at Hype Cave. So it might be a bit before Lynn comes back to track down that hammer, unfortunately.
I think, yeah, Lynn probably going to go ahead and clear out at least everything before going to the back to fight Helmasaur King. Not having a hammer won't actually be able to do it, but I'm kind of getting the sense that that's where this is all leading to.
Yeah, also no key for Lynn, unfortunately, so leave the big chest behind unless he finds the big key in here. But there are plenty of
Hook shot, though.
Oh, hook shot! That is a huge find.
So that's the answer to our question. Where is the hook shot logic? It is in Palace of Darkness.
Is found the Big Bomb shop at Cave 45 is the entrance, and the Big Bomb owner is revealing to us that Tower of Hera is the other 5-6 crystal, meaning that Thieves Town is a pendant today.
It would be the blue pendant, yep. So it is maybe time to start, since we've got items, we've got information, let's do a little bit of thinking here. And it looks like Lynn's going to go ahead and go backwards, doing the hammer jump to get across the gap here. Taking a look at what still needs to be found to be quote-unquote in go mode. Oh, and unfortunately not quite getting it. And really low on health too at 1.5 hearts. That's not ideal. So I guess probably just gonna try and get it this time and hope, because otherwise you're gonna die. Got it, but it doesn't have that key, so can't open it up. Now this is a little scary.
Taking advantage of bombos here, it looks like, to kill off some enemies, and then their flaming bodies light the way a little bit. A little dark, but Link's a rugged, scarred, grizzled adventurer.
Yeah, as far as go mode goes, for those who are wondering, what do we still need to find to get into go mode? There's some bombs. But we need the ice rod for Turtle Rock. We need ether. Actually, we don't need ether because unless we need to get into Turtle Rock proper for the entrance, but I don't know that we need to do that right now, because I think we've found all of the dungeon entrances, so Turtle Rock entrance can't actually be. It's not a dungeon.
Might be required to get to another item. We are also looking for the Tower of Hera big key. I think is the only key that we really need.
That would be correct. So yeah, ice rod, and that's really about it. Okay.
Lynn, since we know Aga 2 is going to be required eventually, he is going to go ahead and do it and clear up these chests in the climb of Ganon's tower.
A very interesting play. Not necessarily a bad play at all. Just very interesting to see going for GT now. But I guess it does make sense.
So this is Crystal's goal, someone just asked in chat, but we have a vanilla Ganon drop down, so we do still need to defeat Aga 2 to open up the pyramid to actually get to the Ganon fight.
Right.
Yeah, so this means that, again, you know you're going to have to do this eventually. It's never really going to get any easier, unless you find silver arrows, I guess, maybe might make the climb a bit easier, but if you can do it all now, and you're not sure what else to do, at least you know you're not wasting time this way.
Right, and you might not find that bumper cave exit that gets you the silver arrows either, so you may be looking for a long time for that. It might just be easier to go ahead and bite the bullet and just go ahead and do this right now. Get this over with. Some misbehaving Stalfos there.
Yeah, just a little bit. Oh, there is that bumper ledge exit to get to the silvers. That was the other exit out of Paradox Cave. So both of our runners went right past that one, choosing to take the other exit out of Paradox first. But now Goomba has gone back, and we'll have those silvers for whatever boss fights they'll come in handy for. Not a whole lot left that those silvers will be useful for Goomba, unfortunately, since he has already finished off Vitreous.
Yeah, I would say small bits of help for Helmasaur King and Argus. That's about it.
That's a matter of the Ganon fight, but
Yep. Goomba now going to check.
I was going to say, Lin is approaching the payoff of this GT climb. We'll see these 4 treasure chests in rapid succession here and see if he will find any items that will help him out at this point.
I started to be nice right about now. Small key to Misery Mire, which... Okay. Big 5. Let's see what else we've got here. Last 2 chests.
Ooh, Lin set up a fake powder in the middle of GT to get some health back.
I like that, actually. I think that's a good... especially since you get a refill right here on your magic. I like that. There's some bombs.
Managing to get both fairies with 1 fake powder as well, so is at full health coming into Moldorm 2.
And down goes Moldorm. And there's Mini Moldorm Cave. Wait, have we not seen that so far?
I think this is our first time seeing it, so weird to have this many items left, just sort of floating at this point in the race. Small key to Pod.
Meanwhile, Lin taking on Agatu. So yeah, we know that Mini Moldorm Cave is up there, and Goomba's going to find 2 dungeons that he can dip into. One he can complete. Palace of Darkness, obviously. Not going to be able to do all of Swamp Palace without that hook shot. Going to want to go to Pod first, maybe.
Gonna at least check out the left side door to see what it is before he commits to that swamp play. We'll see if he decides to full clear Pod. I would think he will, since he can check everything in here except the big chest and Helmasaur himself without the big key. But it makes sense to dip in here since you can do almost everything as opposed to only being able to do about half of Swamp.
Right. Meanwhile, Lin has opened the Ganon hole. Gonna bonk across it and go to the Light World, and we'll find Mini Moldorm Cave.
What we have left to check, the desert entrance, all of these book locations have not really been checked. The tablets in the desert entrance. Lin is so close to where he needs to be, but he just can't quite get there in the Dark World. Just because you can't really go south from the pyramid to Link's house without that hammer. And Goomba is finding the hook shot, so now we'll almost certainly full clear Swamp right after this.
And that really just puts us at Ice Rod Go mode now for Goomba. Lin's gonna need the hammer as well to be able to get to that. And it looks like, I don't know, is Lin going back to check the other exit? Or no?
I think this will be the right way for Lin to get to the hammer. Oh, nope. See, the path to the hammer is through Hookshot Cave right there. Which hopefully he will dip into right now. I believe that Hookshot Cave entrance leads you out of Hype Cave, which is then the fastest way to get to the big bomb shop where the hammer is right now.
And indeed, Goomba is going to go ahead and go into Swamp Palace and clear that. Oh, going back into Mire. Ooh.
Lin. So close to the hammer, which is the main progression that he needs at this point, and just did not quite choose the right way. Is going to come back and finish off Vitreous from the looks of things, which he took a sort of frustrating death on the way there and decided to leave it for later, but unfortunately that will not have any progression for him. So meanwhile, Goomba is going to take us deeper into Swamp Palace. I assume we will see a full clear of this, since we're still looking for a couple of big keys, which could be anywhere, but most importantly is we'll get another crystal for Goomba. And we are rapidly closing in for Goomba on that moment in Cross Keys, where you just rush through, 3 bosses in the last 10 minutes of your run and then head to Ganon.
Yes, we still gotta find that Tower of Hera big key in addition to Ice Rod, excuse me. We know where Ice Palace is.
Runners have chosen to put that one off for a while. We'll see if Lin gets there now with the big key. Does not have any small keys, which makes the routing through ice much more annoying. And also doesn't have the hammer, so he's very keen to not go into Ice Palace right now, I would guess. A weird quirk of the cape. If you are frantically slashing your sword while you have the cape on, it uses almost no magic for reasons I do not fully understand, but does come in handy occasionally on Vitreous fights.
Yeah, I don't know if it's one of those weird the game doesn't like when you do 2 things at once and can't keep track of it kind of things, or if it's just something else.
Something about the sword slashing animation prevents it from ticking down your magic. I don't know what it is. I'm sure someone knows, but who knows?
Got Anzuni asking in chat, is this all dungeons? It's not all dungeons, but we're kind of having to go into every dungeon simply because we're looking for a few things. Oh, magic powder showing up. And the bloomerang in the Hookshot Cave.
Happy fake powder now enabled. He's continuing to find interesting entrances with new checks and new treasure chests for him to open. Unfortunately, just not the ones that have serious progression for him, unfortunately. As Goomba is working his way through Swamp Palace, almost here on Argus. Did not find either of those big keys that we are really looking for, or the ice rod. So it looks like the crystal is the only thing we're really going to get out of the swamp dip right now.
Yeah, I'm just kind of wondering if we have some kind of weird setup here where there's just an item chain that we need to find to be able to get that last item.
We've still got, again, all the book checks to make. So if our runners can find our way to the tablets or the main desert entrance. So we'll see where Goomba heads off to now that he's cleared out Swamp and as much of Pod as he could do. Goomba is headed toward Ice, I believe, is at the Death Mountain, the normal Death Mountain entrance. So with the hammer, he can get everything but the big chest again.
And the mushroom turn-in turns out to be just a big 20.
And I think Lynn is heading back to the desert area. I think we will see... he's going to check out Agina's Cave, wherever that leads us to, and probably we'll see the Desert Palace main entrance. Another one of those connector caves. Have we seen this one before? Well, I'm pretty sure we have seen this one before.
Yes.
I'm not sure if Lynn has.
I don't think Lynn has. No, we've seen it because this leads down to the fairies, and then that you go up the stairs.
Be another way for Lynn to get to that hammer. If he heads south through Village of Outcasts and then around the south side of the Dark World. He's going to head up to Graveyard Ledge, which will find the entrance to one of these dungeons.
Yeah, the back half of Desert Palace is there, so
yeah, right.
It will be completable.
We'll probably see Lynn go ahead and do that since he has the big key. Again, it is a pendant, but at this point you're sort of grasping at straws for any items you can find. He is still desperately looking for that hammer, so a logical play for him to make, but still probably not the right one.
Skullwood's big key shows up in Ice Palace. That big chest is now on the table.
Fetch quests, just what we needed.
red mail. And Ether is in the big chest at Ice Palace.
That theoretically opens up entrance for us. We can't quite get there without the myths, though.
Boy, that would be something if that's where the ice rod is, if it's in that Turtle Rock entrance. Because that would mean we're still 2 items away from go mode. And it is a possibility.
Goomba has about wrapped up Ice Palace here, just the Cold Stare fight, which with Butter Sword usually goes fairly quickly. We'll see if he can corral the Puffs into the corner, and does a very nice job of that. Makes quick work of Cold Stare. Meanwhile, Lin does seem to be heading in the vaguely correct direction, is working his way down through Village of Outcasts. Lin memeing for us there, but hopefully we'll keep heading through the south side of the Dark World to that bomb shop to finally track down that hammer.
I can always appreciate a brief moment, even during an intense race like this, for someone to go ahead and meme. Yeah, I think we may be seeing Lin go ahead here and get that hammer. Meanwhile, Goomba gonna go and do what Lin was doing earlier, completing GT now, just to get that out of the way, since you can. Probably have a little bit of an easier route here because he's already got the silvers.
Yeah, Lin mirroring to check that entrance. That's the only way to go in that door, is mirroring from that spot. We'll also see K45 in the Big Bomb shop, the actual Big Bomb shop. And so we'll get his last bit of information about the pendants and crystals, I believe. Finds his first bottle. And there is Lin's hammer and the last Turtle Rock small key. So now finally has the main items that he needs. That ice rod is still at large, as well as the Hera and Pod big keys. So, depending on where those are, um, that might be Lin's chance to catch up. If he can find the right location that leads to those before Goomba does, that will certainly make up a lot of time. And he is sort of gaining back time that he banked earlier by doing the Ganon's tower climb before, right? So now he can catch up and make some of these checks that Goomba previously made while Goomba is finishing off Aga 2.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you give Goomba the advantage here. Just for having had that hammer for longer, definitely does have a leg up on making some of these checks. So if Lin follows sort of the same route that Goomba did after finding the hammer, there's probably not a lot of time for him to make up here.
You're seeing the play over to check the Bombos tablet, though. Haven't seen this yet. And it's the last shield upgrade.
In this desert entrance while he's in the area. I know it's just one entrance, but it's much easier to see that when I can see the entire race and know where the possible places are for Lin to catch up.
Meanwhile, Goomba now on Aga 2. Lin fluting away. As we approach the 1 hour and 50-minute mark. Sahasrara having a heart container as the prize for beating Desert Palace.
That was another avenue for catch up there for Lin. If Saha had the ice rod, which unfortunately no such luck.
Or one of the
Goomba finishing
keys.
off. Yeah, or one of the keys, that's true.
Yep.
Yeah, Goomba finishing off Aga 2.
We have had catfish. Goomba checked earlier, it was just a piece of heart.
Lin's headed back up the pyramid to find a good mirror spot to the top of Hyrule Castle, since he can now finish off Swamp Palace. And looks like Goomba might be headed toward Graveyard Ledge to do the back of Desert now. So again, that's good news for Lin, since any checks that you made that didn't find you any good items, you also want your opponent to make. So this will give Lin a little bit more time to get through Swamp Palace and catch up to Goomba.
If you're Goomba, I think it is a smart play to go ahead and do this because of the fact that it's a pendant dungeon, you know, green pendant dungeon. And I guess one of the interesting things too would be, what if Pedestal has something we've not seen? I don't want to say the P word, but Pedestal. What if there's something hiding there that's of value, like Tower of Hera Big Key or Ice Rod?
That's definitely a possibility. So the added value here of the Saha item makes sense for Goomba. And again, Ped insurance, so you're not super far behind on that one if it turns out to be necessary. So yeah, a big key on Pedestal would certainly add to our list of items we need for Go Mode, since then we would need that Thieves Town big key as well.
Yes. Yeah, we do need TT Big Key to be able to get to the back half of Thieves Town.
This little routing here by Goomba is going to turn in the mushroom at the same time he visits a Hostrala.
I like that. It's a nice combo there. And I get to fly down to 7 and go to the potion shop.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing that makes Crossworlds so interesting, is you really are routing on the fly, because that's not something that you have to do regularly. You sort of have to figure it out as the opportunity presents itself in the seed.
Now Goomba is going into Hyrule Castle. Has both keys for this, so really the only thing here is the big thing here is that second chest.
Yeah, you see what our runners are down to. We're dipping back into Aga Tower for the second chest. We also could open up Lumberjack, which leads to Magic Bat. Goomba is not quite that desperate yet. Goomba doesn't have the powder, so as far as he knows, Magic Bat is not currently in Logic. But of course we could fake powder that, but again, Goomba trying to avoid doing the whole Aga climb for one more check, and I do not blame him.
Absolutely. But what was I going to say? Yeah, Lumberjack Ludge into Magic Bat could be something that we see maybe Lin go for if they get desperate enough to find something. No, big 20 in the back of Desert Palace. Gosh, cool Papa Bell. We're gonna see like a 216 on a 216 on the check screen at the end. The way this is going, it sure seems to be heading that way.
Right, we're definitely getting there. I mean, the runners are down to checking, these one-off big chests. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Skull Woods big chest soon. I think Goomba's going to head up to Ether Tablet right now, which is a new check for us. So that could be interesting. Let's see what we've got.
Big key! Tower of Hera.
Alright, so still no small key for Tower of Hera, meaning that basement chest is still locked, but we can climb the tower, get the 2 treasure chests, and whatever is on Moldorm, so that will almost certainly be what Goomba does next.
We can do Hookshot Cave now. We know what's in here. We know it's powder is in here, as well as the Bloomerang.
Yeah, I'm trying to check my notes. So the Tower of Hera entrance is in the Dark World Ice Rod Cave area. I'm trying to remember if Goomba can get there through some cave up here on Death Mountain. You're taking better notes than I am.
And we just saw Lin go back into Dark World from Swamp Palace. We have a 1 dungeon advantage right now for Goomba, and that 1 dungeon is Ice Palace. Oh, what's Lin thinking here? We're making a
all
GT.
this stuff on the left side of GT, which is now in Logic with the hook shot. And that will include the GT Big Chest, which Goomba has orphaned as a check. So Goomba heading up Tower of Hera, showing us new checks in that direction, and Lin will eventually get to that GT Big Chest, which he is definitely hoping has the Pod Big Key, I think, or the Ice Rod, are about the only things that could be to really give Lin a big boost here.
Finding either of those things in that big chest would be a huge. It'd be a huge swing right now in the favor of Lin getting the finally getting the lamp after an hour and 56 minutes. So far, Goomba not finding anything that he needs in Tower of Hera. Could be something on our old friend Moldorm here. So what's old Moldy got? Let's see here. It's gonna be a big 20. Oh.
I'm not getting much airtime in that Butter Sword fight, and seems a little peeved about that. Just leaves behind a big 20 and the crystal for Goomba. So one more crystal checked off the list, but no other progression that Goomba was hoping for.
Spike Cave.
The cave is also right here. This is a nice sort of tie-in while you're checking that Tower of Hera entrance. Again, more great routing from our runners on the fly in entrance rando.
Oh, that's one
There's
of
a
them.
big key.
Thieves Town. Uh-oh.
The Ped Dream is alive. No one has checked the pedestal yet. We'll see. Goomba might now head in that direction to see what's on the pedestal, or might just dip the back of Thieves Town for all the items back there. Regardless of whether you need that pendant, there are 4 items in the back, which we can get to. And
Yep.
into Thieves Town.
You know what? You might as well do this. It's a situation, I think, that since it's back here, it's the big key to Dark Palace. Oh my gosh. Lin, that was not what Goomba would want to know, because that's going to be a one-off location that Goomba's not going to be able to check really easily. Oh gosh.
Wow. That is huge for Lin. That is legitimately going to be check number 204 or something for Goomba before he gets back to that GT Big Chest. Lin headed straight back to Palace of Darkness. Has got the big chest to open there, and can defeat Helmasaur. We know that big chest, well, the big chest might still have Ice Rods, so he definitely needs to check that one.
Right.
So Lin gonna have to pull off the Hammer Yump again to save this last small key for the trek back to Helmasaur. And apparently the first rule of Randomizer holds true no matter what mode you're in, no matter how many complications you throw down there, it's still always that stinking Ice Rod.
I know, it's just always that one item, because of the fact that it can be just about anywhere in the game. It is location locked behind so few things that it's such a variable.
Yeah, so we'll see how much time Lin manages to gain from this, finding the Pod Big Key. The good news for Lin is that the Troll Big Key at Thieves Town, if it turns out to be necessary, he'll sort of be led to once he goes back to Tower of Hera, since those entrances are right next to each other. Yeah, Goomba definitely did build up a pretty big lead with the hammer, so we'll see how much of that Lin is able to eat into before Goomba goes back to Ganon's Tower to find that Pod Big Key.
So let's see what blind has here. This will be our first big check, and we're gonna get shortly after that the Helmasaur King item drop. Oh man. It's the Titan's Mitts on blind.
So the Titan's Mitts are their own sort of fetch quest. Those open up, let's see, Mire area access, so several entrances there. And also the Ice Palace Vanilla entrance, I think, are the only things that Mitts give us right now. The Hammer Pegs entrance as well, and the Purple Chest, I guess.
Yes. Purple Chest, Turtle Rock, main vanilla entrance. Especially for Goomba, because Goomba has Ether, so... Oh, we're getting a blind ped pull, though.
Less RNG's in chat right now.
It's a big 20. Oh, it's just deflating when you find that. Ped is dead.
I think that's the thing that can make chat happiest, is when someone does a blind ped pull and then it's total garbage.
Fairy in a bottle from Helmasaur King.
Yep, drops a crystal and that bottle.
Gosh. I'm just thinking about this. Sorry to interrupt, Cool Papa Bell. We never saw Sick Kid. We know where Sick Kid is, but we never saw anyone do that, did we?
Yeah, he's hiding up there on Death Mountain, if I recall correctly. I think one of the drop-down caves from Spectacle Rock. So that's definitely an option. Checking out another fetch quest.
Okay. Okay, Chad informing me that Goomba has probably already checked Sick Kid, so... well. I thought for a moment there, oh gosh, have we not checked Sick Kid, even though we have the bottles? But... I was mistaken.
I know there's luck there. Alright, so Lin is now going to head into Ice Palace, going to follow his crystals that he can finish off right now. So this is where he's making up the time for the things that Goomba has already done. And let's hope for Lin's sake that he can just burn right through Ice Palace and make up that time as quickly as possible. So I think the mitts were about the best thing for Goomba to find as far as Lin is concerned, because that opens up so many things that will lead Goomba away from dipping back into Ganon's tower. If it doesn't go to the Ice Rod, that will give Lin rather, a whole lot of time to catch up.
Absolutely. Will very much be a situation where Goomba's going to check all these locations that are single item checks. We're going to be looking for, obviously the Pod Big Key and Ice Rod at this point. We know where one is, but we still don't know where that Ice Rod is. It's not Smiths. They are not Rod Smiths today. They are Hurt Smiths with a piece of heart.
And Goomba are going to flute back to Kakariko and I think duck through this portal that they left to pick up Purple Chest. Lost track. Where was the Tower of Hera Big Key?
It was on Ether tablet.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Standing in Lin's way at the moment. And of course, both of them have to track down the Ice Rod. Oh, Goomba finds Ice Rod Cave at Hammer Pegs. Please, Vanilla Ice Rod. Oh, just a big 20.
I feel like when you play a randomizer like this, a seed like this especially, every time you find a big 20, a little bit of your soul dies.
feel like as soon as you boot up a Cross Keys Seed, a little bit of your soul dies. But on that note, let's all thank both of our runners for putting on this very entertaining show for us today. Give them both a follow. Anyone who is willing to go through Cross Keys for this tournament, or this league rather, is definitely willing to put themselves out there and provide some great entertainment at their own expense. So the least you can do is give them a follow.
So it looks like Goomba's going to check the mire area. Mire Shed is a very nice place.
Yeah, tons of entrances here that we can get from the mire area and the mirror. Spiral Cave. Probably going to save that one for last, since you can't quite come back through the Spiral Cave after you drop down.
Ooh, brewery. Oh, only Compass. Compass of Turtle Rock. Cool.
Not the piece of Turtle Rock equipment that we're looking for.
Where does Checkerboard Cave lead? There it is! Checkerboard Cave.
So
has the ice rod.
Weird little French vanilla ice rod. The Hammer Peg's entrance led to Ice Rod Cave, and the actual Hammer Peg's cave had the ice rod in it.
Yep. This is very weird.
Indeed. Alright, so now Goomba is just looking for the pod big key for official go mode, finding Mimic Cave, which we know will not have anything that he really needs. And this also means that Lynn is going to have to find that Thieves Town big key for Mire access by way of the mitts that were on blind to get to Checkerboard and that ice rod. So that's, I think, unlucky for Lynn. This is a big swing back in Goomba's direction, just because Lynn is pretty much going to have to all dungeons this one and isn't going to be able to make up time by skipping Thieves Town.
I know people are asking, is this all dungeon seed? Is this all dungeons required earlier on? And technically no, but we're going to see all dungeons anyways.
Finding the Tower of Hera small key on the floating island. Another fetch quest he might follow up on before he actually does the GT big chest. Just like checking this Turtle Rock entrance with his mitts.
So we're in no mode right now. We know where everything is for our runners, but our runners obviously don't know where they still need to go.
See Lynn's frustration there, just holding on to the bomb in front of the wall in Nagina's cave. You hit 2+ hours into a Cross Keys seed, I think. Lynn, 2,000 rupees on his way to Zora. That might be the highest total I've ever seen.
Yeah, 2,400. Wow, that's quite a bit. The seed has been super generous and super trolly, with throwing out big 20s all over the place, and there's another one, of course.
Have all the rupees you want. Ice Rod? Nah.
Well, Goomba taking on Trinex right now. So cool, Papa Bell. For anyone who's kind of tuning in right now, let's give a very quick recap on what we still need to find and where it is for each runner.
Yeah, so Lin is really just looking for the Tower of Hera Big Key and the Ice Rod. So the Tower of Hera Big Key is on that Ether tablet up Death Mountain, and then the Ice Rod is behind the Mitts, behind the Thieves Town Big Key at the Checkerboard Cave entrance. Goomba, on the other hand, is really just looking for the Palace of Darkness Big Key, which is in the Ganon's Tower Big Chest, which unfortunately for Goomba is the only check he has left in Ganon's Tower. So that is a pure one-off check for him at this point, and we'll see how long it takes him to get down to that one on his list.
Oh, Lin. Looks like Lin's going up to Ether Tablet now. I think, yep, there's the book. That's going to be the play. So Lin is going to pick up the Tower of Hera Big Key.
Yeah, so this is definitely the right chain for Lin, because this will lead him to the Tower of Hera entrance, which is in the Dark World Ice Rod Cave area, the Dark World Shopping Mall, as some people call it, which also has the entrance to Spike Cave, where the Thieves Town Big Key is hiding. Lin, meanwhile, checking out Sick Kid here, not going to find anything too interesting, but...
Small key to a dungeon you've already completed and cleared.
On the trail he needs to go down. We'll see if he can follow all the clues.
Yeah, so Lin needs to complete this item chain that he will need to get the mitts to be able to get the ice rod to get to Turtle Rock, or at least to get to the Trinex fight in Turtle Rock and beat it. Meanwhile, Goomba just really needs to get back up to GT at this point. And unfortunately, you know, as you said, Cool Papa Bell might be one of the last locations wants to check, because it's just such a slog to go back in there. While Lin's going to Tower of Hera to complete that. And one of the other things to keep in mind too is if it's a close race at the end here, Lin is going to have to do, is at least at the moment going to have to do Ganon fight silverless. Goomba has the silvers. So that could, even if Lin gets a lead here, that could play significantly into how this race goes at the end.
Continuing to check entrances, I'm not sure if there is a particular item location that he's looking for that he hasn't found yet. But he did take that Bombos out of the checkerboard location and go immediately to the Meyer entrance to check that last entrance. And we're now going to finally see the Desert Palace entrance as well, so he's getting 2 for 1 out of this check. Oh, no.
Actually, yeah, we just saw it actually. Lin went through the opposite direction. It's the right side of... It's when you go out that right side of the Hyrule Castle, once you're inside, that's where it leads to.
Okay. that explains why they weren't checking it when they found the book, because they probably already knew where it
Oh.
was.
But Goomba is going back into GT. I think this is the play.
Yep, this seems very good for Goomba that he is now beelining toward that last check that he has to make, and he is definitely going to get there faster than Lin will be able to get to his mitts. Oh, that's unlucky for Lin. He's fluting away from that spot without checking the Spike Cave entrance, which, if I remember right, is where that Thieves Town Big Key is.
Oh, gonna go do. Uh-oh. I think it's a magic bat setup here. Gonna go beat Aga to do. Maybe check the second. Maybe just checking that second chest here. Maybe not doing the full clear for Lumberjack.
I don't
Ledge
think he's
yet.
seen that second chest.
Yeah, that might be the play. Yeah, Goomba's definitely going for that GT big key, big chest.
And half magic, but not really what he needs. Oh, and he is going all the way up Aga Tower to open up the Lumberjack, which is the entrance into Magic Bat in this case. So,
Indeed, and at 2 hours 17 minutes and just a couple seconds over, Goomba's in go mode with Palace of Darkness, the only one left to do. Yeah, for Goomba, this should be very, this should be pretty quick. You're just going back to take care of Helmstor King, and then pretty much gonna be able to go straight to Ganon from there, so not a lot of time left before we get those GGs in chat.
yeah, the traditional very short go mode. I'm just going to point out here that that Goomba is probably going to finish this thing in under 2 hours 30 minutes, which is still a pretty ridiculous time for cross keys, particularly one where he has completed it except Aga 1 and probably checked upwards of 185, 190 items. Outing that's sort of going to happen serendipitously here is that the pod entrance is going to let Goomba out right on top of Hyrule Castle, and then he'll be able to portal right back through to the Ganon drop down at the pyramid. So, if you think the Aga 1 to Ganon's Tower is fast in the normal all dungeons run, this is right along those lines.
And this will be a pretty fast and efficient fight here with 18 hearts, red mail, half magic, gold sword, silver arrows.
I'm
Lin,
pretty confident this will go well.
Yep, Lin setting up for the lumberjack ledge into magic bat. Yes, for 5 rupees, unfortunately. Already on to phase 3.
Yeah, very quick dash strats through phase 2. Butter Sword makes that much faster.
Did you find the silver arrows on the ledge? Sure did. And Lin now going back to do Spike Cave, and we'll find exactly what he was looking for. Just as Goomba is about to finish up, there's Steve's Town, and get those GGs in chat, everybody, as Goomba walks across the bridge and finishes up with the win here for last locationeers. Cool seed, right?
That's one way to describe this seed. But absolutely GG to Goomba. Very nicely done through this quite trolly seed, I feel like. And a big win for the last locationers. That will jump them to 19 league points. Again, in that very tight race in the Death Mountain division, fighting over the seeding at the top. So, well done to Goomba today.
Absolutely pulling through for his team when they needed those points. Lin actually put on, to be honest, really good show. Just unfortunately, it's one of those things where you have to kind of choose your locations to check and live and die by it, and sometimes it just doesn't turn out to be the places that you hoped that it would be. And unfortunately, maybe that was just kind of the case today, and that's the way Rando is. Definitely not a knock on Lin's skill. Very talented, doing a pretty darn good job here for a very tough seed. So well done on both halves here.
Yeah, especially in entrance rando, when you suddenly walk into the dark world and there's 12 entrances you could walk into in any direction. How do you know which one is the right one to choose? So Lin got a little unlucky and just didn't choose the right one today to get to that hammer sooner than he did.
Yeah, I think Lin will probably go ahead and just finish off the seed here. Why not? You're pretty close to the end anyways.
Yeah, it's just take Lin very long once he picks up these mitts off of blind. Then Meyer is sort of the logical location to go to first, I would think, just because there are so many entrances to check there. So
I think we do have Goomba in the room though. Let me see here. Goomba, are you here? GG's.
I am here. Hello, GG.
GG, Goomba. Boy, that was a seed.
I mean, it was a seed. I will agree, it was definitely a seed.
How you feeling after that? It was a very tough one to figure out. Even for a cross key kind of race here, not necessarily playing very nice with some of these item locations.
Definitely one of the slower I've played in a while.
That's
Between the
issue.
mirror showing up so late, and, you know, doing all the dungeons, and the myths actually existing. Can I have a secret where the myths don't show up? Can that happen? Maybe? I've had one of those in a while. But, I don't know, it was
Issues was
pretty standard.
there wasn't.
Cross fair, just a bit on the slow side.
I was gonna say there wasn't quite enough cross going on, right? There weren't enough ways to get into the Dark World early on, except for that sort of ridiculous chain through Dark Death Mountain, or walking all the way down to the south side from the bumper ledge area.
Yeah, thankfully I found my hammer fairly early on, so I could just use portals.
Palm jump across the North Side River was definitely an important sequence break to do, since that got you around to Hype Cave much more efficiently.
Yeah, that one definitely paid off quite nicely. Why is it always the GT big chest? I hate that thing. It's so stupid.
That was definitely a rough one, and the logic of Ganon's tower this time around was a little ridiculous. All the things that were technically hookshot locked would have been real helpful.
Yeah, I especially appreciated the logic where the hookshot was in the very last chest in Palace of Darkness that was not lamp locked, and then the game expected you to go back to Ganon's tower with the hookshot to get that lamp. That was good.
So we are also joined in chat by Linlinlin, who has just officially forfeited, but GG's anyway. This, as we've been saying, was definitely a seed to deal with today. How do you feel about that one, Lin?
To be honest, I didn't feel like the only thing that made me feel bad was the hammer location. I kind of sequence broke the mirror kind of early, in my opinion. I don't know if I got it before Goomba. And when I got it, I was like, okay, I have to take advantage of that mirror, but
I expect you probably got it before me. I was kind of late to the mirror.
I got it very early. I got to Maya very early. And I died on my way to to Vitreous. I decided to do a few checks to get maybe some safeties, and I lost Portal. Like, okay. I was kind of low on like, well, I had green mail, 8 hearts or 9 hearts, something. Not, and I didn't have a lamp, of course. You know, I didn't have the hammer, so.
Yeah, I had, when I bought Vitreous, I had bow, lamp, butter sword, blue mail, all kinds of good stuff.
I went back there after I got my hookshot because I knew, like, there's hookshot cave here, I need to check it as well. So I just went a bit there. I didn't have the map, so I just blind killed Vitreous to get abandoned.
Feels good, man.
But yeah, no, it wasn't that bad. I don't feel that far behind after getting those mids. Of course, I would have gone to Myra and get my Astron. That's logical play here, and I don't think I'm that far behind you.
40 bonks, what did I do?
I mean, you told me you didn't have a hookshot going to GT, so like, I guess you bonked a lot to get
I guess
to round the room.
Yeah, you did have to. Yeah, you did do a lot of bonking to get to Random Room, as well as a couple bomb jumps.
Yeah. Oh, rip the 200.
Oh, so close.
Collecting 23 heart pieces also.
Oh.
Especially after, like, when you're one item Fukuomo, like, I was stopping looking for, like, connectors. Especially, like, I know where the silvers are. I know it's connected to something. But, like, at this point, you just stop. You just go for items. You just go for dungeons. Especially silver is not really needed, and like I didn't want to find that TT big key. I did.
Yeah. The bumper ledge connector was the third paradox cave exit, which I assume you never took. I took it quite late myself.
A paradox cave. I don't.
Yeah.
It's the lower Paradox Cave exit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I checked it, and like my plan was to go back into Mire, and I totally forgot about it. And I lost the portal, and I was like, okay, sure. I have a mirror. I don't care.
So one thing I wanted to ask to you, Goomba, was at the end, when you were just looking for the pod big key, you were still checking a lot of locations. Was there a particular item location you were looking for at the end, or were you just not sure what you had left to check and were just checking all the myths entrances?
Well, my only guaranteed item locations at that point were the Ganon's Tower Big Chest, Hera Basement, and, God forbid, killing Aghanim for the Magic Bat. And I knew I had not seen Checkerboard Cave or the library yet, so I figured I'd just check all the quick entrances first.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, so library was the main one that you were that you still had on the list. That makes sense.
Yeah. But then I was down to Magic Bat, GT Big Chest, and Hera Basement, as well as taking the big bomb to the pyramid for a 50-50 at the library, which could have just as well been in Ganon's Tower, so I figured the lesser of four evils is probably the GT Big Chest.
All right, well, I think that's about all we've got. Any last thoughts from either runners? Again, both of you did a great job, so a great run today, and we appreciate the entertainment. Any final thoughts?
I don't know, just it was a fun seed. Thanks for the restream. Thanks for helping the league.
Yeah, thank you
be what
very
it
much.
is. Appreciate it, commentators, trackers, viewers, everyone. Just thanks.
Very fun seed, very fun mode. Entrance without climbing. GT, haha, yes. No. Forehead.
Crystal's goal, by the way.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Seed. But in all seriousness, yes, absolutely thank you to our viewers, chat for keeping us commentators honest, and be sure to stay tuned to Speed Gaming. Give us a follow. And there's always lots of more great randomizer racing available here. A few more matches in the league tonight. I think there are 2 races going on at 8 o'clock, in addition to all of the other programming that will be on Speed Gaming the rest of the day. Nihon Tiger, any final thoughts from you for before we sign off?
No, just it was a pretty good race, actually. Only really separated kind of at the end here, so definitely good job for both Goomba and Lin. Congrats on the win. And yeah, looking forward to doing more of these races in the future. It's always an enjoyment getting to see some of the talent here in our league really show us what they can do.
Absolutely. So thanks again to our racers. Thanks again to our crew, and literally Jen, our tracker for today. I swear she tracks every race. I know that's not quite true, but it seems pretty close. And with that, we will bid you all good day and hope to see you back here soon.
Absolutely. Take care. Good luck. Good RNG. Have a good evening. And remember, someone out there loves you, and we love you too. Take care.